Hello, this is part 2 of the series on working with USB flash drives to run Ubuntu from a flash drive or boot from it to install it. The reason I'm covering this part's actually going to cover a setup to boot VMware to USB. This isn't particular to all Ubuntu users, but if an individual wanted to run Ubuntu from a virtual machine, like, say for instance, VMPlayer. VMware and VMPlayer don't have you can download VMPlayer, I believe, for free over on VMware's website. You just have to search for VMPlayer download. It's open source software that you can use for free to play back a machine. If you wanted to play around with Ubuntu directly in your Windows install, or use it as a virtual machine for a while and get used to it and see what you could do with it, and drag and drop from your Windows machine to the other machine, you're going to need to know how to boot to USB, because VMPlayer and VMware Workstation, I think up until 10, did not have natively the ability to boot off of a USB drive. Now, the workaround that IT tech people like me have been using for a while is called plop. What it does is it basically allows you to boot into it first, puts a pause in the whole game, gives you some time to actually connect the USB drive, so that you can use the USB drive to boot from, and make sure that it's connected to your VM workstation itself. So you can download plop for free at www.plop.at/en/bootmanager/index.html. And the USB flash USB sticks that we sell are 2 GB flash sticks. Different sizes, different shapes, but they're definitely 2 GB. All are verified to be in working order when they are shipped out of our facility. And this basically, up on my screen over here on the right, well, you can only see the right, I guess, so it really doesn't matter. Up on the screen over here, you'll see that this is the plop boot manager. It has a whole bunch of install instructions and things of that nature, but what we want to do is actually download this file. Now, I don't want the test one. I'm going to take the 5014, simply because usually test versions are kind of buggy. So I'm going to take the one before that. And as you can see right here, I've actually already downloaded the file. This is the file as it comes down, even though you'll notice the names match up, and I've already downloaded it. So what I do is you take this file contains an ISO, and I'm going to open the containing folder really quick. I unzipped this, I extracted it. I use WinRAR to extract it. You can use the native Windows built-in. I just don't prefer that. I prefer WinRAR because it's got a lot of right-clickable options, and you can add things to zips on the fly. And within the folder that it extracted, you'll notice this plp.bt.iso. This is the ISO that we're going to use to get the VMware. We're going to point the VMware to that ISO as its image for the operating system, so that when it boots up, it goes into this interface instead of directly attempting to boot straight from the unsupported USB stick. Okay? So let me close all this out, and I'm going to provide links when this video is done at the bottom of the comment section, or wherever I can add it to the video, so that you'll have a link to both plop and VMware Player and all that. So let me minimize this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new virtual machine. I'm going to choose typical settings. I'm going to, once again, like I said, I'm going to go browse to that ISO. Notice I'm grabbing the plp.ito ISO. And that's the installer disk image that I want to use. And I'm going to click Next. I'm going to choose Linux, and I'm going to choose Ubuntu because that is the version I'm going to be using at a later date. And I'm going to click Next. I'm going to call this USB boot. And you'll notice this is the install location for this machine. That's the location on your local hard drive, as you would typically any new virtual machine. I'm going to cut this down to only 10 gigabytes, and I'm going to store in a virtual disk as a single file, so that if I want to move it later on, for me it's a lot easier to move a single folder in a single file than it is multiple files, because if it fails at any point, you're going to have to be tracking down which file actually failed to move. So I'm going to click Next. I'm going to customize the hardware. And in here, I just want to make sure that everything's set. I actually have one processor with 2 cores. I'm going to let it stay at 1 gigabyte of memory. And I don't think I need to change anything else in here. Okay. So you'll notice that the check button is automatically set standard power on this virtual machine after creation. I'm going to click Finish, and it's going to power on the USB boot. And at this point, my USB device is not connected yet. I'm going to plug in my USB device now, which is a Ubuntu boot disk. And first it will come up on my regular machine. Normally, it will come up on my machine. I may have ejected it wrong the last time, because my machine is running on batteries, so it probably shut down and didn't eject it right, and when I ejected it before, it did something goofy. So I'm going to pause this until I can repair the drive, and then I will reconnect. And that's another thing that you do need to know. When you have a USB flash stick, you can't just pull it out of the side of the computer, because it can become corrupt. So if you have ever done that and you wondered why you lost the contents of your entire USB, that's why, because you didn't eject it before you removed it. You have to cut the power to the device, or else it still tries to read and write from the device itself. So give me a second and I'll just be back in a moment. Okay, I did a little quick disk repair on it using Windows Management Console. And it looks to be fine now. So, but in order to avoid problems like that with your USB sticks, what you should always do is choose, right-click and choose Eject from inside my computer. That way you don't have any problems with your USB devices. And you can get to that directly by right-clicking your device and choosing Eject. I'm not going to do that now, but that is how you can avoid problems with your USB sticks in the future. Okay, now I'm going to attach the I'm going to not attach the device because it's still not showing up. I may have to reboot. Give me a second. So, I'll be right back.